Hi, I'm Effie and I'm kind of a math gay. One thing that I really love is playing around with numbers, watching numbers change, kind of analysing statistics, etc., etc. Where am I going with this? Well, I have found great joy in over the past 3-ish weeks tracking the numbers for the fantasy category of the Goodreads Choice Award, seeing the way that things like ratings, how many people are shelving a book, the number of followers that an author has on Goodreads, how they've all changed over the course of the voting period. And I got really into it. Between the long list being announced and the short list being announced, I was tracking every day the numbers on Goodreads for the fantasy category and seeing the way that all of the books changed over that period of time. And based on that, I made a prediction about who I thought were going to be in the shortlist. And based on the numbers, 9 out of 10 of them were as I had expected from the numbers. So what I thought would be really interesting, I am filming this on the day that the Goodreads Choice Awards winners have been announced, so we'll also get a full kind of list going from 1 to 20 with all the votes, and we'll be able to see the rankings. So I thought it'd be really interesting if I could kind of come up with what I think the ranking's going to be based on the numbers and then compare that to what the results actually are. But this is just for the fantasy category because I'm a geek, but I'm not that much of a geek. I don't have it in me to do it for all 15 categories, unfortunately. If that's something people would be interested in me doing next year, please let me know in the comments and I will kind of factor it in as something to do next year. Before I show you how I worked it out and then we have a look at the results for the fantasy category together, I just want to point out a couple of things. Like, I'm a human coming at these statistics with my own biases, so it could be that I haven't put the correct weight on a particular area of the stats, or I haven't tracked something that's particularly relevant. The other thing is that everyone voting is also human, and there's no way that I can think of to mathematically account for the variances that occur in that people might vote completely randomly. People might vote completely with their heart. Like, I'm doing this as a bit of fun. I'm not really expecting my top 20 to match up very well with the results we end up getting. I think it'll be fun and interesting to see if that is the case, but I'm fully expecting to be miles off with this all. So as you can see, I have a whole spreadsheet here. So this sheet is particularly focused on the bottom 10. So I decided to split the bottom 10 from the shortlist because I thought perhaps it would confuse the numbers. I'm not sure. I guess probably something that I should have done was put the full top 20 into the same sheet and see if it actually showed the bottom 10 as being the bottom 10. I don't know. But anyway, we have the bottom 10 here. And as you can see, we've got ratings, number of reviews on Goodreads, number of people that are currently reading it, number of people that have shelved it as want to read, the number of followers that the author has on Goodreads. And then for ratings, well, I've kind of colloquially called this all shelved. So this is the number of ratings it's got on Goodreads, plus the number of people that are currently reading it, plus the number of people sorry, that was my finger, plus the number of people that have shelved it as to read. And then I rated all of those individual columns. I did an average of the ranking of rating and review, but I don't think I ended up using that in the end. And then I did an average of the rankings for everything. So this is the average of their ranking based on rating, reviews, and all shelvings. And then I duplicated that. So that was the starting numbers at the start of the voting period, roughly speaking. And then I took the numbers again on the 27th and did that all over again. And then the final columns, sorry, hopefully I'm not moving too fast. The final columns we've got is the change in rating over time, the change in the number of ratings that it has on Goodreads over time, the change in the shelving. So again, this is ratings plus to read plus currently reading. So the change in that, the change in followers that the author has on Goodreads over time, and then I did ratings for those. In this instance, where there wasn't a obvious differentiator between them. So for example, rating change, the ratings has only changed by the 0 or 0.01, so I only rank them as either 1 or 2. And then did that across, and then this final column is basically taking all of the rankings into consideration. And then what I did was I went back over here, and this first column is ranking them based on this column, which was their average rankings at the end of the first round of voting. And then this one is ranking it based on this column, which is the average of all of their rankings. But as you can see, there's actually no difference between these two sets of numbers. And then we've got the top 10, which is the same thing all over again, but we do have an additional section which is tracking the difference between the end of the first round of voting and the end of the final round of voting. And as a result, we have 3 different columns here. So we have the rankings based on the final numbers, and we've also got the rankings over time. And as you can see, there are a couple of differences here where the rankings based on their final ranking versus the average is different. So this third column here is showing an average of the two. So as you can see, and as my gut instinct was basically telling me, between Tress of the Emerald Sea and Hellbent, they're both pretty much on equal par. And that's also the case for Emily Wilde and The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. So based purely on the numbers, this is how I think the fantasy category is going to be ranked. So we've got Tress as number 1, Hellbent as number 2, but as you could see from the numbers, those could easily have been reversed, and we could see Hellbent as number 1 and Tress as number 2. A Day of Full Night as number 3, Starling as number 4, sorry, Starling House that is, The Fragile Threads of Power at number 5, and then in 6th and 7th position, again, I could see those being reversed based on the numbers This is not me saying this is actually how I think it's going to shake out. This is what, purely based on the numbers, the ranking would be. So Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi are 6 and 7, but they could be 7 and 6. The Unmaking of June Farrow is number 8. Swordcatcher's number 9. Bookshops and Bone Dust is number 10. Stoneblind's number 11. The Book That Wouldn't Burn is number 12. Clytemnestra is number 13. In 14th position we have The Will of the Many. Then 15th is Inkblood's Sister Scribe. 16th is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. 17th is Witch King. 18th is Atalanta. And 19 is Victory City. And in bottom position we have Venko. So that is the predicted ratings. Now is the moment of truth, and let's see what the actual results were. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to show the results on screen alongside this graphic, so apologies if you're just hearing my voice. We're going to have a look at the fantasy category and see how I did. So Hellbent came first, so I got that wrong. But then, like we said, it could be the other way around. So those two are wrong. A Day of Full Night's right. Then it should be Emily Wilde, so I got that one wrong. And then Threads of Power, but it was Bookshops and Bone Dust. Then it's Threads of Power. Oh, I got this so miles off. And then Swordcatcher. So my numbers are just so incredibly wrong. And then Amina. Oh wow. Okay, so if we ignore the fact that my graphic has Tress and Hellbent the wrong way round, but I did say either of them could be first and second. If I'm being optimistic, the numbers got 3 out of the top 10 in the correct order, but realistically I got 1 correct. Let's see if I'm any better with the bottom 10. Stoneblind! Yes, Stoneblind was correct. Then it's The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Oh, then it's Inkblood's Sister Scribe. And then it should be Clytemnestra. And then The Will of the Many. I mean, to be fair, those 3, they're in the wrong order, but like, you know, those 3 are those 3. Does that make sense? And then it should be Atalanta, so that's wrong. Then The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. Then Victory City. Then Witch King. And then finally Venko. So, I mean, that's not as good as it's actually hilarious how bad it is. So I'm just gonna go back to showing my face now and we will wrap up this video. Okay, so I guess what we've discovered is that people are unpredictable. If I'm being generous with myself, the numbers got 6 out of the 20 in the correct position. If I'm being less than generous, they got 4 correct. But also I do think it was interesting that Clytemnestra, The Will of the Many, and Inkblood's Sister Scribe, whilst the order was incorrect, those 3 were all in the correct positions, if that makes sense. Do I think that judging based on the numbers is an inefficient way? Not wholly. I think possibly it's a case of I need to refine what metrics I'm looking at. It's also possible that the numbers that people were voting on the top 2 skewed things. Let me have a quick look again, sorry. So when I quickly look at the number of votes, Hellbent won by a country mile. Tress was like 20,000 votes less. And then the next 4 are all within 2,500 votes of each other. So it was pretty close there. I had fun doing this. I think it was fun seeing just how wrong the numbers got it, but I also don't know that I would have put them in this particular order. If you enjoyed this slightly geeky, slightly weird video, then please do give this video a like, as it tells me that I'm making the right kind of content for you to enjoy. But until tomorrow, love you. Bye.